Hey there, friend. We are excited to announce the opening of registration for our Sales Fundamentals Workshop taking place next April 2024. It's going to be our 5th annual. And what's been exciting is to see people that have gone through the program, not only our 2.5 days together in Fort Worth, but also the training that becomes before and after it. Also included is our monthly accountability call. Is what we've found is when we bring together the 4 fundamentals of goal setting, time management, pipeline management, and prospecting, when we have discipline and consistency and tools around those and salespeople use them, they are far more successful. So if the question is, how do I maximize our chances of putting a new sales rep on the road and having them succeed? You don't have to focus on a million things. You got to focus on 4, and that's what we touch upon in the Sales Fundamentals Workshop: goal setting, time management, pipeline management, and prospecting. Now, the training continues on after our time together in Fort Worth. So it continues on afterwards. And one of the components that we touch upon in the Sales Fundamentals Workshop afterwards is negotiation. Now, I spent several years buying materials and labor for a national home builder. I can tell you a lot of folks that I met with did not have negotiating skills. So I'm going to share a couple stories here that I think really resonate and can help us think better about negotiation, but it's not in construction. It's the NBA, the National Basketball Association. The history of the NBA is loaded with great negotiation tales, and you might be thinking, what about the 1978 draft, where Red Auerbach of the Boston Celtics, with 2 of the top 8 picks, took Larry Bird with the number 6 pick a year before he came out? That's right, there was a rule. There was a stipulation in the contract that said you could draft somebody, you just had to sign them within 12 months. So he took him a year early, knowing Bird was going to stay for his senior year, and then signed him right before that 12-month deadline. But the greatest NBA negotiation of all time, the greatest deal ever pulled off, was by 2 gentlemen maybe you've never heard of, Ozzie and Daniel Silna. They owned an NBA team known as the St. Louis Spirits. And when the ABA, the American Basketball Association, folded and became part of the NBA, there were 7 teams that were washed out. So the St. Louis Spirits and Ozzie and Daniel Silna were offered $3 million. They looked at it and they said, you know what, I think we're gonna hold out for more, but not more money. They actually took less money. They took $2 million, but they said, you know what we're thinking about? We want something else. We'd like another concession that maybe you don't care about much. Now, at that time, the NBA wasn't nearly as successful as it is now. So Ozzie and Daniel Silna asked for this concession. There were 7 ABA teams folding, and they said, why don't we take ours and 3 other teams, so 4 of the 7, so 4/7 of the TV rights. Now, the NBA was like, well, nobody's watching this anyway. Sure. Long story short, they collected more and more money as the NBA exploded, and finally they were paid out in 2014, and they made over $800 million doing what? Nothing. Not running a team, not owning a team, not being involved in any way, shape, or form. So how is this relevant to you? Well, when it comes to negotiation, there's a few fundamental principles that we are going to touch upon that expand after our Sales Fundamentals Workshop. Number 1 is that negotiation is a journey, not an event. Negotiation begins the minute you start talking to a customer or a prospect and you learn about his NFPOs, needs and fears and pains and opportunities for growth, because those become positions. Then we want to collect a surplus of concessions. And when we are coaching individuals or are helping our clients in large-scale negotiations, we'll always focus on what's our laundry list of concessions, things that are designed to give away, that are less value for us, but are more value for them. Most people, when they begin a negotiation in our industry, do not have a list of concessions. So what are some examples of concessions? Well, the first one, I could argue, is the most important and the easiest. It's to make sure the other half, your counterpart, is feeling heard, right? That's the easiest one. However, there's a bunch of other concessions that I want you to think about, and here are several. You can offer rebates, of course, price incentives, full pricing transparency. You can include training. There can be volume discounts, a dedicated sales rep, a guaranteed maximum cycle time, exclusivity, price locks, payment terms, warranties, guarantee of no back charges, and even gas surcharges. When it comes to crafting a list of concessions, it comes down to listening and then using some creativity and not being afraid to hear that actually that's not that valuable to us. Continue to find more concessions to give away. Now, negotiation is critically important to save a point of margin here and there. And again, this is something that's included. It's not one of the 4 fundamentals, but negotiation is so critical and it's underutilized in our industry, which is why it's gonna be part of our sales fundamentals workshop. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me directly. We have 2 more videos where we are sharing other tips to help you run a more profitable business. Thanks for watching.